What's going on, y'all? It's your boy SoSo, and welcome back to the channel. Like always, make sure you're hitting that like, comment, and subscribe button. Most importantly, turn on the notifications so you guys get notified when we drop hits like this. Today, you're getting an OnlyFans preview, week 2, short week, Buffalo Bills, Thursday Night Football. You know what that means. We got to bring in the man, the main man, Victor Bermudez. What's going on, brother?
How are you, my dude? Always a pleasure hopping on here with you.
Absolutely, man. I'm doing great. I know you're doing great. And I appreciate you taking some time from your busy day, man, to jump on here and talk some football. It's kind of easy because we're talking about the Bills, right? So it makes it a lot easier.
It always helps when we're talking Bills Mafia. Have I ever been on OnlyFans?
You were on the preview the first year, for sure.
Okay, because I know I'm on the regular podcast, but I just want to know, have I ever been on here? Because I should be on here talking, especially during Bills and Dolphins week, especially since we won, That's 4 in a row, since we've won 15 out of the last 17, since it's Josh Allen, since week 18 last year was in Miami and Buffalo Bills came to Miami and took the division from the Dolphins. Yeah, why not bring me on more often?
I mean, if we're talking about the past, right, we're gonna have to reflect on last year's week 2, right, when you guys came down here to Miami and we have that picture of Josh Allen, resting his head on shoulders to a show.
It's hot down here in Miami. It's hot down here in Miami.
It's hot. But this is going to be different because it's a night game, right? And we have already some players that are going to be out. Raheem Mostert is going to be out for the Dolphins. On your side, we have Teron Johnson, Dwayne Smoot, he's going to be out
for the Bills. The fact that he's out, that's huge for Buffalo. I mean, I know it's huge for you guys, Mostert being out. I think he accounted for 21 touchdowns a year ago. Huge on your end as well. But let's be honest. If there's a team out of these two that can't afford injuries, in my opinion, it's the Buffalo Bills. I think the Bills lost the most out of everyone in the AFC East during the offseason due to some cap. Obviously, Jordan Poyer, who was a former Bill, is on your side of the ball at the moment. So, yeah, going into Thursday, you normally go into Thursday nights already a little bit handicapped with what occurred in the prior week on the short week. I'm not a fan of Thursday nights. I don't think the players are fans of Thursday nights. I think they like the fact that they can get maybe a 4-day weekend out of it. But outside of that, the turnaround time is just too quick. And this one seems to be benefiting the Miami Dolphins. The fact that it's at home, the fact that it's going to be humid on a Thursday night, and the fact that you guys seem to be the healthier team going into this Thursday week too.
That's a great point, man. And I think that reflects on the spread too, right? 3.5. It's getting closer to 3 because Vegas knows this is going to be a close game because you just don't know what you're going to get when you don't have all your starters available.
Yeah.
Something that you hit on, having that short week, it's always a test of who can minimize the failures, right? Like this game goes out to who's going to minimize the mistakes, who's going to minimize the opportunities given to the team. How are you feeling with the injuries you guys have had on defense and how they performed, in the first half versus Arizona versus the second half versus Arizona?
I mean, on paper and statistically, you look at what the Bills were able to do. 3 sacks from Gregory Rousseau. Von Miller gets a sack. Von Miller last year had 12 games, was active for 12 games, didn't record a sack. So you like to see that the fact that Von Miller, the guy that you've invested so much money and time into, being able to go back to form, looking to like what he used to be in the Denver Broncos days and the Los Angeles Rams days. And then Gregory Rousseau on a year where he needs to prove to not just the Bills, but others on a contract year, comes out, gets 3 sacks right off the bat. You'd love to see that from the Bills defensive line. So on paper, it looks like they had a good day. If you watch the game in the first half, just like you guys, similar to the Dolphins, down 14 early, had to find their way back at home, down 14 at home, 2 scores at home. I'll continue to say that at home, that should not occur. Especially look, for you guys, it was a Jacksonville Jaguars. There's a lot of hope and aspiration for Trevor
Lawrence.
They're
building something.
And we were playing Kyler Murray, former Heisman Trophy winner, but Kyler has not looked the part. And you could say to a certain extent, neither has Tyler. But I think 2 very disappointing beginnings to the season for the Dolphins and the Bills, falling 14 behind at home. And then you saw them in the second half. Then you saw some flashes of what this could be. You guys with the 80-yard touchdown from Tyreek in the second half, us with the way that Josh Allen was moving the ball, rushing the ball, passing the ball. We saw a quick glimpse of what Keon Coleman the second round draft pick should be for the Bills. But there's just a lot left on the table to desire as a fan because of that slow start. You want to see them put 4 quarters together. Granted, it's only week 1. Just like I'm not going to take too much or buy into too much of what we saw on Monday Night Football from Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. But you're looking to see a much more complete game from both teams. And I honestly do think that the Bills need it more than the Dolphins. I think the Bills can't have any hiccups of the way they had a year ago. I like what I'm seeing from the Dolphins this year. They're at home. Their offense is going to be rolling on and hitting on all cylinders. You guys just have the motors of Waddle and Hill and your running back room, and it's just Mike McDaniel is an offensive play caller. It's just you guys are loaded. I think the division's there for the Dolphins for the taking, and that's coming off of 4 straight division titles for the Buffalo Bills. But if there is a leader in the clubhouse, you would think it's the Dolphins, and it starts with these division games. And week 2 brings the Dolphins and the Bills a division matchup, a conference matchup, and we know how important those is because last year it came down to week 18, and what was it, week 2 last year, that helped you out tremendously because of that it wouldn't have came down to that. But I'm not sure how to feel about the Bills going into this game with the injuries. I like the fact that it's the Dolphins. I like the fact that Josh Allen has had so much success against the Dolphins. 5 of his AFC Player of the Week awards have been against us. Dolphin games. So until you're able to defeat Josh Allen, I'm still going to side with Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills because Tua and the Dolphins need to prove it first. But seems like you guys are in good hands for this week, especially with the injuries of the Buffalo Bills on a short week as well.
Yeah, I think that's a great point because if we talk about what Buffalo has done, right, in order to continue to be one of those playoff teams that people are afraid of or one of those Super Bowl contenders, right, in order to get to that level, you have to win ugly games. And then you stack those wins up and you win your division and you take that home field advantage and you win week 1 of the playoffs, right? And I think that's the turning point for the Dolphins. Mike McDaniels even said it after the game. He was like, 2 years ago, these last 2 seasons, this team probably would have lost this game, right? But we find a way to win it, and that's how you get better. That's how you realize, like, all right, we're not letting the bullshit standard just stick around here. We're continuing to elevate and get better performances regardless of when they come, whether it's in the first half, second half. You got to go out there and close out those games. Let's touch a little bit about Thursday. You mentioned your rookie, right? Keon Coleman. He looked really good. I was really impressed with how he was able to, the stats, people always look at the stats, and that's not always everything, right? You got to look at his route running, how he was blocking downfield for Josh Allen, how, where he's lining up. All of those things look like he was the consummate professional. We haven't seen a lot from our first-round pick in Chop Robinson. He had that one penalty, and he didn't really have, too much influence on the game. How do you think those guys, right, because we know who the X factors are, right, but how do those guys integrate themselves in order to be an X factor in this game for Thursday?
I think it's tough. I think it's extremely tough on a short week. As far as Keon Coleman goes, I think he's going to get his looks, and they're still going to look his way. I think Josh Allen is great at doing that. I think Tua does too. Tua does evaluate the field. I just don't know on a short week in week 2 how much you can game plan for those guys. Again, being such a short week, it's not like you can completely change what your game plan was going to be. Keon still got some looks, still got looked his way by Josh Allen, still had some receptions. And then at least for the Buffalo Bills side, Keon Coleman is going up against a really talented secondary that will most likely take advantage of the fact that they can pick on the rookie and maybe just eliminate him. We are extremely limited as to Josh Allen's weapons. Arizona did a great job at taking away Kincaid. Dawson Knox was able to benefit from that, but they immediately in the first half took away Kincaid from the game plan. So you hope that Keon Coleman would have been a bit more involved, though we didn't see that production until in the second half when he had that 50-yarder. So I don't anticipate much from the rookies in this game. It's early on in the season as well, so I think it's going to be some time before those guys start to clicking. And look, not everybody's going to be Xavier Worthy and not everybody has Patrick Mahomes back there. We need
Right.
to accept that it is what it is, and it's harder for us to accept because we traded that pick with the Kansas City Chiefs. That Xavier Worthy could have been a Buffalo Bill, but that's neither here nor there.
That's history, man.
And the Bills do it again to the Buffalo Bills. Because if your fans don't know, Patrick Mahomes could have been drafted by the Buffalo Bills, but the Bills trade that pick to the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs take Patrick Mahomes. He sits for a year behind Alex Smith. He's got 3 Super Bowls, and we're still trying just to make the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and he's on pace to go back to back to back because the way that they looked against the Ravens
we don't
was
got to touch
really
on that
impressive.
too much. We could just move on right along.
Right? We're going to talk right along into the rest.
The Chiefs eliminated both of us last year, so we don't even have to hit on the Chiefs. We'll worry about them come playoff time.
Let me ask you this, Vic. Because like I said, we said earlier in the beginning of the show, we got the report that some of the key players are going to be out. We still don't know what's up with Achane. But I wanted to get your opinion, right? Obviously, with the great football mind that you have, who would you rather prefer to face if you're the Buffalo Bills, right? Would you rather go up against Mostert, or would you rather go up a guy like Achane?
I'd rather face Mostert. I just don't think Mostert has the speed, and it's just a different style of running back. I think Mostert, come red zone time, that's a problem. But your other running back poses a threat that at any given moment he could just break out and for a long run. It's just like Tyreek Hill, but at the running back position. At any given moment, you're off to a foot race. And Buffalo has struggled a bit with the run. The middle of the field was wide open from last week. I think the tight end position this week is going to be a huge portion of your offense, because if you took anything away from week 1, Kyler Murray found his tight end a lot in the middle of the field.
Yeah, and he had like 8 receptions.
If I had to pick and choose which running back I'd rather face, it'd be Mostert, the older back, the not as fast back, the one that I'd only have to really worry about come red zone time. It's given the choice, I'd choose Mostert to face and I think any week.
Yeah, I hear you, because Achane is so explosive, right? And youth, right? You can't like, youth is unbeaten, right? Whenever you're the younger back, you have a lot more stamina, you have a lot more in the tank, and I think that what he showed is his big playability, right? His big playability really changes games for the Dolphins. We'd be remiss, Vic, if we go throughout this entire preview, right, and don't mention what Tyreek Hill went through last week with getting arrested or detained in front of the stadium, this, that, and the third. Again, you're so deep as far as your professionalism and how long you've been involved with sports, and obviously as a behind the scenes in the news, you have a lot of information. What do you think is going through Tyreek Hill's mind, right, to get ready for this, not only this short week, but the rest of the season, having dealt with some shit like that and having it hang over his head?
I don't think Tyreek's fazed by it at all. I mean, clearly we saw that with his performance on the field on Sunday. In addition to that, Tyreek's been through a lot in the offseason, last season. I think he's just a veteran that is not going to allow anything off the field to affect him on the field. He's got a lot going on in his personal life, Tyreek, and you've never seen that once affect him on the field. On the flip side, I think this just brings the Miami Dolphins closer together. And I think this is something that the team rallies around, because we saw numerous players, including Calais Campbell, Odell Beckham Jr., guys come to his, I wouldn't say defense, but come to see what was going on, to be there for their teammate. And this was spoken about pregame, postgame, will be spoken about. And I think this will bring the Miami Dolphins team something together. And it's something, as I mentioned, that they can rally around, something they can probably build around the entire season, because this isn't just going to go away in week 2 or 3 or 4. This is something that if you live down here, you're experiencing it. It's in the news daily. The law enforcement, the officer just received representation and wants to be reinstated immediately. So I don't think this is going to be an ongoing situation for both the Dolphins and the city of Miami and Metro-Dade Police. And I think this is something that could potentially help the Miami Dolphins because of that camaraderie, that team bonding that, unfortunately it was adversity and something that we hated to see for any individual, not just a football player, Tyreek Hill, trying to walk into his or drive into his place of employment. But I think this could be have a very upside for the Dolphins and their locker room.
Yeah, I hear you, and that makes a ton of sense. Because even he said it after the game, right, in his post game conference. He was like, "Man, we really got a brotherhood here. All these guys had my back." And they were able to separate the football side of it, right? He also mentioned how Tua ripped into him at halftime and was like, "Man, you're not playing well. You're not playing well. You're not playing well. I'm not playing well." And I think that's what made the difference, right? And when we talk about that, that's kind of like the same stuff we were talking about earlier, where as a team, you have to learn how to take that direction from your leaders, right, and be available to withstand that. And I think that the Bills have accomplished that, and that's something that the Dolphins are learning. I know you got the Bills winning on Thursday, right? But is it going to be a high-scoring game, or is it going to be a low-scoring game with the quick turnaround and the amount of injuries we're seeing on both sides?
The fact that these two teams played last year on Week 18, and it was only a 21-14 game, and Thursday night games, for the most part, tend to be low-scoring games because of what we've spoken about, not enough rest, injuries piling up. I know it's only week 2, but I'd be hard-pressed to think this is a high-scoring game, especially with what we mentioned. Look, at any given moment, you guys can go off for 30. The Bills can go off for 30 because of Josh Allen.
Right.
They did so a week ago. Both teams did. But I think both these defenses will be the focal point of Thursday, and I think it'll be more of a defensive game as opposed to an offensive game, and what we're typically used to seeing from these two outside of Week 18 last year. I'm expecting a low-scoring game, at least from the Bills side. I hope that's enough. I was extremely impressed with what the Bills were able to do on defense in that second half, but I just don't know who we are just yet. I think it's too early to tell. As we mentioned in the beginning of this podcast, I'm not buying into the Jets either and how bad they looked on Monday. So I think week 1 is too early to tell from either team. What I do believe is that one of these two teams will be the wild card team. Heading into the year, I thought the Jets had enough to win the division. I'm not ready to just jump off that bandwagon just yet because it's only week 1, and they were on the road against the NFC champions.
A tough team.
A team that was in a Super Bowl, and they're at home, and a really solid defense. But I do think these two teams on Thursday, I think this game's going to be huge for both because of that. It's a division game, and I think this may be the deciding factor who secures that wild card team. Again, I could be wrong, and they may be playing for the division like they were, last year, Week 18. But I don't anticipate being a high-scoring game with what you started. I just don't see it. I don't think these two teams tend to do that on Thursdays as it is anyways. But we'll see. At any given moment, as I said, Waddle, you guys, you're so explosive on offense, and your play calling is so – I'm extremely jealous of your play calling to begin with. Mike McDaniel, I think he's a genius. Him, Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, what you guys are able to do, just the way everything is moving in motion – no one is ever standing still, and I think that is something that Mike McDaniel has picked up from Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan. So you guys, we went for 34 last week, and you guys put on a performance in the second half as well. But I would just remind folks that a year ago, these teams didn't put up many points when they faced each other.
Yeah, and I think the most important thing to kind of wrap up the show is like, these guys are very familiar with each other, right?
Yeah,
and like you said, it could be a spark that sets it off, and then this game is 56-51, right? Or it turns around, it's 13 or 14, heading into the last minute of the fourth quarter. It's going to be a good one, bro. We'll save the Jets and Aaron Rodgers talk for a little bit later. I have my personal opinions on that, but I really appreciate you joining us on here, Vic. Taking some time from your day, man, to jump on here. I really appreciate that, bro.
Anytime, my brother. You know what it is, man. Phone call away.
Yes, sir.
It's family.
Yes, sir. We're gonna have to change that Man City banner that you got back there. Whoever's office.
Yeah, I'm in someone's office, man. I don't do with soccer. Like, soccer ain't my thing, man.
We can help them out. We can help them out. You know enough, man. I appreciate you, Vic, man. I'll see you soon, brother.
Anytime, brother.
That's Victor Bermudez, y'all. Buffalo Bills fan extraordinaire, but more importantly, he's a friend of the program and a friend of the show because he's giving you guys those insights that you guys like to hear, especially when it comes to football. Make sure you guys are hitting that like, comment, and subscribe button. Let us know what you guys thought about this preview. We're going to be bringing them to you all season long. And of course, most importantly, turn on those notifications so you can tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend when we drop hits like this. It's your boy So. Peace.